G'day everyone, Teal here from TM Saddlery and Bushcraft. We're out here on location at a new property and we're going to be building a shelter here for the upcoming camp out. So what we're going to do is we've got this massive log down here. I've already sussed it out for creepy crawlies, things like that. There's nothing in it, so there doesn't look like there's been anything living in it as well, so we're good to go there. We've got no deadfall directly above us, but we've got plenty of shade. So it's a really good spot. It's fairly flat. Now I'm going to have a raised bed in this, so it's not going to make a huge difference even if it's got a bit of a lean in it. But with this log here, we'll have the tarp coming up, going over a ridge line and then back down. Now for our ridge line, we're actually going to put two spikes in the ground, two Y forks, and then have a timber ridge line running across the top. And you'll see why at the end of it. So I'm pretty excited. Stick with us and let's get cracking. Rightio, we've laid our oilcloth tarp out, and as you can see it's a fairly large footprint. This is our 10 by 10 oilskin canvas tarp. Now this is 100% made in Australia from Australian fabric. So quite robust, quite rigid, does weigh a little bit, so depending on how you're getting into areas, sometimes it's easier to pack a smaller tarp. But because we don't need to hike too far for this one, I've decided to go a little bit larger just to try these ones out and see how they go in this environment. So yet again, we've laid this out. So this gives me my dimensions of where I want to put the ridge poles and things like that. So I'll mark this out, I'll dig the holes, put the uprights in, and then we'll come back. So, got my pack shovel out. This ground here is fairly soft, so we'll dig down a little bit deeper than usual. I'll also sharpen these up a little bit. Once they're dug in, then I'll try and spike them into the ground, and then we'll backfill them a bit. Now this timber here has actually come out of an area that we're going to be clearing a pathway through, so we're not, stripping down timber just for the sake of stripping it down. It's also pink ash. So what happens with pink ash is, I don't know if you can see just in frame there, where you'll have one tree that'll die and 3 or 4 will come up in its place. So if we cut these down nice and cleanly, they'll often sort of coppice out and you'll have 3 or 4 more that will grow. And they'll also grow very, very straight because they're going straight up to the sun. Rightio, I'm going to dig a few holes, put these in, and then we'll come back to it. So here's a good idea. I've peeled the bark off this one where it's gone into the ground. I've also just heat treated it very quickly over the fire, spiked it in. I'll peel the rest of this off at a later date. We're just running out of daylight at the moment, so I'm going to get this done. I've dug out as deep as I can with the trenching tool down to about there, so it's in fairly deep. I've backfilled. Now I've just got a fairly heavy log and I'm just going to tamp down the edges so it really compacts the dirt. You can see how that's sort of moving around as I hit it. Just making sure it doesn't move around too much. And really compact the soil around it. It's really important that these stay upright, otherwise halfway through the night with a big gust of wind, something like that, it could rock over and you could be in a world of hurt. So just a quick little tip and trick there. Alright, I'll set the other one up, we'll put the ridge line up and then we'll come back. So we've got the uprights in, we've got this pole with a little bit of an overhang, and I've put the Prosic loops with the tarred bank line on there through with a lark's head to a toggle, and then I've pulled that down nice and tight. Now I've learnt we get this nice and tight, squared away, and then we put it up. I've done that once or twice and then tried to throw a tarp over it and it's been quite difficult. So yeah, I'll get this one up and then we'll come back. So this is my shelter so far. As you can see, heaps and heaps of room. It's quite tall. Now, this time of the year, it's more or less just to keep the sun off during the day. It's not actually to keep a lot of heat in where we are this time of year. So I've got a big gap down here, so that will still allow airflow through here. I'll be putting my bed down here, and I'll be putting a fire out here. I will be putting a reflective barrier at the back of that to reflect some heat back, just because, you know, very late at night, early evening, it does kind of get a little bit chilly here, and then it sort of levels out. So that's basically also just to prove principle as well, with the reflector. So yeah, ordinarily if I was worried about getting super cold or anything like that, I would drop this right down, so it would be, you know, at my height or possibly even lower. But yeah, this is basically just if we do get like a really heavy rain or anything like that, it'll just shed the water off really quickly. Now this is actually going to the other side. I'll probably tension this up a little bit more so it goes the other side of the log, doesn't hit down in that. But yeah, stay tuned and I'll show you what the end of that's for. As promised, the reason I left this a little bit longer, I've got my raised platform here, I've got my canvas bag, taking it down to the creek, and running water. Yep. I can raise that up a little bit more so I can stand up there and have a full shower, get in underneath it. I can also heat up rocks from the fire and put them in there and heat this up as well. Now when I made this bag, I actually double layered the canvas, so it will hold hot rocks in it and heat up quite well. Absolutely smoothing it. Rightio, thanks for watching.